want to go ahead and bring in Derek Aguirre. He's the executive director and founder for Racket Up Detroit. I was watching the video about your organization before we came on the show. I love what you guys are doing. I have worked in the city of Detroit for 20 plus years. I can't believe I haven't heard of your organization. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us about Racket Up Detroit.
Well, Racket Up Detroit we've been around for 10 years. So we've got a nice little history here in the city of Detroit. We're a nonprofit organization which uses the sport of squash as a hook to engage kids in public schools, in particular in Northwest Detroit. Now, squash, the racket sport, is the hook, but it's really about their long-term educational and personal success.
So, Derek, I'm thinking of this conversation. How did it go? Hey, want to come play squash? How did you get some of the kids interested? And like you said, it's not just so much about squash. It's really about all the other things that you offer the kids.
Yeah, a great question. We start with kids in 5th and 6th grade, and we do that on purpose because they're really, it's an age where they are open to new things. Squash was certainly new for most of the students that have joined our program. But from the beginning, we make sure they know that this is not a sports team. They're going to learn to play the game. They're probably going to love it, but they're going to spend a lot of their time working on academics and community service and just getting to become part of a team that is about a lot more than just the sport.
So did you go to the schools to pitch this, or how does it work?
Yeah, we have 5 neighborhood partner schools, and every year we go to those schools, again to the 5th and 6th grade, to introduce them to the concept. So we let them actually try and hit the squash ball in their gym, which is a little crazy, but that's half the fun of it. And we make the case that this could be the program that helps you achieve your goals in life. If you want to get really good at the sport, we're going to help you with that. If you want to improve in school, we're going to help you with that. So we make the case that this is a kind of a one-stop shop for your own development and enjoyment. It's a ton of fun, and that's clear from the minute that they try to hit the squash ball.
Well, it's a lot of exercise as well, and great exercise at that. When you first went to your school leaders, where did you start, by the way? Which school?
So we're based at Northwest Activity Center currently, which is just off the lodge at 6 and 7 Mile. And we fanned out from there and started working with Schultz Academy and McDowell Prep Academy, 2 historic neighborhood schools in the vicinity of Northwest Activity Center.
And I will say that Activity Center is a great building, a great organization, and it's great that they've been able to keep their doors open in the city of Detroit, because so many other activity centers have not been able to do so. And in that conversation, what did it take to get the buy-in from the parents when you said, hey, I want your kid to play squash?
I think the broader message resonates with most parents, that this can be a vehicle to a lot of things, that it's not about the sport per se. It's really about your own success. And I have not, in almost 20 years of doing this, met a parent who is not all in for the success of their children. So that's the key message up front.
And now that you've been there for 10 years, as you mentioned, how have some of the previous participants helped keep this program going?
Yeah, the key element, I think, to our model is long-term relationships. We start in 5th or 6th grade, but the students can continue all the way through high school. And even then, we support them in their post-secondary pursuits. So for many of them, it's college. For some of them, it's pursuing a career path. And we stay connected to those students, and we look to them to be the next leaders in our organization. So as an example, for many summers, we have been hiring our high school students and our college age students to run our summer program. And we continue that opportunity throughout the school year for those that are local. And the vision long-term is that some of those graduates will actually come back and work full-time in the organization. We're really excited about that moment. It's a couple years away, just in terms of how old our graduates are, but that's the long-term vision, is that those experts will be able to inspire the next generation of students.
And the great thing about this program is it really is about the focus on their academics. How have you been able to like bridge this gap for some of these students that are struggling with remote learning right now?
Yeah, it's like everyone else, we've been learning as we go, and trying to bring as much creativity and innovation as we can. So of course, we've got lots of virtual programming happening. We use Zoom and other platforms to reach out to students and families that are not comfortable coming in person. We started in late March of 2020 with our virtual platform, and it's been active ever since. Uh, for some students, additional virtual engagement beyond what they're doing in school is not ideal. So we've offered an in-person program with all the safety precautions in place since October, and that's really primarily focused on academic support. The Northwest Activity Center has been an incredible partner in that, in helping us to set things up safely and with a great plan to keep everybody healthy and moving forward.
So, what are some of the lifelong lessons that students learn from this program?
Yeah, I think early on they discover that they have a community around them. It's their team initially, that literally their squash team with which they travel and compete. But they start to see that there's a whole community of volunteers and certainly the staff and their families that get invested in their success. And I think that's one of the long-term lessons, is that you can try and do it on your own, but you're gonna have a lot more success if you let others in and lean on them and reciprocate, provide support that they need. And that's what we've been doing for 10 years, is building that community. I think that's a really important lesson to take away.
So many nonprofits right now are struggling just like small businesses and other organizations because you rely so much on fundraising. What has that side of Racket Up been like?
Yeah, I think we've been fortunate. We've got a broad base of supporters, individuals, foundations, corporations that understands our mission and is with us for the long haul. And so we've been fortunate to be able to weather the storm pretty well. Unfortunately, we don't know how long the storm is going to last. So we really express gratitude to those supporters and continue to grow our base, because we're all struggling. You know, the businesses are struggling, individuals are struggling, and we want to continue to be able to implement our program. And that requires, again, a growing base of support and the dedication of all the donors that have been behind us for so long.
What has been your involvement in this? Like, when did you and how did you start playing squash?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, but I moved out to Boston after graduating from University of Michigan to work for an organization just like this one. It's really what inspired a whole national movement now. It started in Boston in 1996, and it pioneered this idea of using the sport of squash as a vehicle to support kids and families. I was fortunate to work there. My first job out of college, I didn't know anything about squash, but I was, as an athlete growing up, and I got interested, and seventh graders were beating me, and I kind of got invested in, getting better, and came to love the game, but more importantly, came to love the approach to supporting young people, which was really, again, about long-term relationships and sticking with them, through the all the trials and tribulations of adolescence and beyond. And so I had the opportunity to help bring the model here to Detroit in 2010. The model is pretty tried and true. It's been 25 years. There's now 20 organizations like this across the country, and we're one of that network. And so we draw from the success of those other organizations for our own effort here in Detroit.
I will say I'm enjoying the thought that you got into the nonprofit side rather than the squash side, and seeing these young kids beat you.
Yeah, well, I think we all need a hook. We need something that pulls us along through the tough times. The squash has become a big part of my life, and I'm so glad to be able to use it to inspire and motivate and and support young people in Detroit.
So are the kids able to actually play right now?
Not yet. We're working on it. I think we're just about to the point where it's going to feel safe. We'll start slow and with all kinds of adaptations, but we've been cautious. I think rightfully so. Northwest Detroit has been particularly hard hit by COVID, and we just have wanted to do it right and do what we can when we can. So we're getting close. We're starting to see activity in other parts of the country around squash, and we feel like we're just about there. It's really important because the game is such a spark for our kids. Whether they're great athletes or just playing it to be with their friends, it's really an important critical component of what we do.
Yeah, well, we're hearing so much during this time as well, just about the mental component of playing sports and what that means for so many of these students. So for them, this is an avenue for them to be able to reach out and connect to other people and to find a different sort of family per se, but also to learn and to grow as well.
Yeah, the sport itself has always been a great vehicle for youth development. It's one of the reasons these organizations have been successful. And I think it is uniquely positioned, and we as an organization will be uniquely positioned to use the sport to help recover from some of what we're all dealing with right now. The isolation, the difficulty in finding communities to share exercise with, just the challenges that we're all grappling with. I think squash is going to really help as we come out of this pandemic period.
Watching the video that is posted on your website, some of the students that have gone through the program, they're in college now. What does that do for you as the executive director to know that you are touching so many lives?
It's been 18 years since I started doing this in Boston. It's why I still love the work. It's why I'm motivated to help the organization grow and serve more students. But we're celebrating the successes of young people. I think everyone can share in that because this is really a large scale community effort. And most importantly, I hope that those young people that are succeeding at that level can look back. They're busy now with school and exams and all of that, but I hope they can look back and say, wow, that was worth my time. It really made a difference. And now I'm going to pass that on to someone in the next generation.
But we see so many of these sports, like through the years, like racquetball was the rage for a while, tennis becomes the rage. Squash has always kind of been in the background. How do you sell people on the game of squash?
Well, the sport, I think, sells itself if you try it. One of the challenges has been that the sport has not been that accessible. Racquetball was a little more common in the United States, but squash is changing. For years, you had to kind of know where to go and had to have certain communities that you're part of in order to even know about the sport. But that's changing in a big way. As I mentioned, there's 20 organizations like ours across the country that are exposing young people in public schools and cities to the sport. And you're seeing courts being built in more places that are more accessible. So I think that once word gets out about the benefits of the game to health, to social development, and even to your own business pursuits, it's going to really take off. And we hope to be part of that momentum.
So where are you able to get your equipment then and find a place to play as well? Because you need a court to play squash, right?
Yeah, we've been operating at Northwest Activities Center for 10 years. It's a historic community center that's a hub for Northwest Detroit. And they have a phenomenal racquetball and squash facility in the health club there. We've been fortunate to have access to those courts. For the average person, it's not so obvious, but there are places, and it's going to get better. The YMCA has been a great resource for racquetball and squash players for many years. In terms of equipment, it's like any other sport. You can really you can buy everything on the internet. We have nice sponsorship opportunities with Racket and equipment companies that help us with that. but I think the game has a bright future, and certainly here in Detroit.
Most definitely. So, Derek, real quick before we let you go, if someone wants to get their kid involved in this program, how can they do so?
Yeah, the first thing would be to visit our website and learn more about the approach, but the second thing is we right now we're partnered with 5 neighborhood schools in Northwest Detroit, and those school partnerships are key to our approach. So at the moment, it's not broadly available to all students, but we're actually building a new facility in Northwest Detroit that is going to enable us to serve more young people, and that's a big part of our ambition, is to be able to broaden access to the sport that we love and to the program itself. So I encourage people to stay tuned. That facility is going to be completed this year, and it's going to give us great opportunities to grow and do more.
So, and when you're able to open up that new facility of volunteers, because I know a big part of what you do is about education, do you accept volunteers, and are you looking for them right now?
Absolutely. We use volunteers in a big way in our classroom to help with the academic program. On the squash court, if you happen to have those skills and some experience, you don't have to be a pro, really just some experience and desire to help. That's a big part of our model as well. And really, just reach out. You can find me and our contact info on our website, and we're always looking for people to get involved and spread the word and build connections that can benefit our students.
Well, Derek, it's been great having you here with us on the MegaCast, but we wish you the best of luck and thank you for what you're doing for all of the kids and changing and shaping their futures as well.
Thanks so much for your time.
So again, your website is?
It's www.racketup.org. That's RACQUETUP.org.
Derek Aguirre with us here on the MegaCast. He's the executive director and founder for Racket Up Detroit.